Pierre Polyev, a Canadian politics. Here it is.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I haven't been keeping up with the Canadian politics that much lately, but before I left, it was getting entertaining, and Pierre was winning. But I don't know what happened all of a sudden. Yesterday I started checking again, and Pierre was at like 25-30%. I was like, what?
Can't be Mark Carney. Cinq, cinq, cinq. I remember that, the word cinq, cinq, cinq.
Who's voting for change?
Yo, yo.
Who's voting for affordable food and homes for a change? Who's voting for safe streets for a change? And who's voting to bring home?
Imagine somebody booing for safe streets. They're like, you know what? I don't really care for the safe streets. I prefer the dangerous streets.
Canada's promise for a change.
Dude, he sounds hyped though.
Wow, quel excellent regroupement de nos
Oh, I haven't heard
citoyens
French
ici
in a
dans la
while.
capitale nationale. On est ici pour un mot, c'est le changement. Un changement pour une vie abordable, une vie sécuritaire et un Canada qui est plus fort. Allons voter pour le changement demain.
No idea what he said, but I'm assuming it was exactly the same as his English.
Wow, what?
Yeah, so the elections are today. I don't really know when it ends because I think there is a time difference between California and Canada. But it's interesting because they've been talking about this for so long, but we're finally going to find out what happens. Also, Pierre, they might have a minority government because it works differently from the US from what I read. And the NDP, Jagmeet Singh, is at risk of losing his seats.
What an
Let's
incredible
continue.
crowd. It's great to be back here near our home in Greeley.
I voted
so
for
many familiar
Hokie. You guys have early voting, right? I heard some people voted yesterday, but today's like the main day.
faces. Anybody here from Greeley?
It's exciting, dude. I hope you get your choice, man.
You know, this is the night before the election. How many of you voted already?
Count's still coming in. Yeah. Where do you think I
And how
should
many
look
are
out
gonna
for the
drag
count?
out friends and
CPAC?
neighbors to go and vote for change tomorrow. It reminds me of one.
Dude, he sounds so hyped. He must be getting good internal numbers. I mean, this is hype. It's looking hype so far. This is his biggest crowd I've seen so far.
Election. It was very, very close, and it was the night before. And actually, no, it was the night of. Sorry, and it was around 15 minutes before the polls were closed, and we were out knocking on the doors of our supporters, begging them to get out and cast their ballots. We got to the house of this very elderly woman, and I
CTV?
said,
Alright.
"We count on you to get out and vote. You've got 15 minutes left."
I'll tune into
She
that
said
after
no.
this.
I said, "Why not?"
But this was yesterday, so I had to see. I was just curious what his vibe is like right before election day. And it's promising. His spirits are high,
She said,
definitely.
"We're too old. We can't get out anymore." I said, "We'll drive you." She said, "Well, we can't even make it to the car." I said, "Well, we'll carry you."
I'll carry you.
She said, "I'm very
Don't worry,
sorry.
we'll carry you."
I'm gonna call it a night." She closed the door. So I walked out into the street and I said, "You know, there's about 10 minutes left. There's no other person I'm going to be able to convince to get out to vote. I'm going to go give it another shot."
Let's
So I
go,
went back to her
Pierre, with
door,
that hard
and
work.
I pleaded, and she said, "Oh, all right." And
Gotta
we
fight
went in,
for
we
every
helped her
vote.
husband down the stairs. We got to the door, and we were about to walk out. She said, "Do I need anything?" I said, "Well, you need some ID." She said, "Well, my husband hasn't been driving for 10 years. He's got no ID." So she had to go and scrounge
You
up
guys
a
need
bill.
ID to vote?
So we
Wow,
brought
that's
them
nice.
out. We got them to the car. There wasn't room enough for the two of us volunteers to jump in with the driver. So we stayed behind where they tore
Remember,
off
4-hour
the polling
difference to
station
West
try and make
Coast,
it just
yeah.
before the polls closed. Sure enough, it started to rain. And where
I'll
we
keep
were
that
in the
in
pouring
mind.
rain, a few moments later they came back. And I went to our volunteer driver and said, "Did you make it in time?" He said, "We made it 1 minute before." And they closed early. So I banged on the door and they opened it
Bang
up
on
and I
the
said, "You have
door."
to let them vote." So they went in and voted, and they
You
came
did
back
3
out and
rallies?
exercised
Damn,
their
I got a lot to
democratic right.
catch up on.
And so
Did Mark Carney have any rallies? Because they're probably like lame, right? Is he like Joe? He's like hiding in the basements?
So we were
basement
helping them
campaign.
back into the house, and just as they were about to go in the door, I took the lady by the hand and I said, "Thank you, thank you, thank you for what you did. I know it wasn't easy." And she said, "And who are you again?"
What a great story,
So I have
actually.
no idea if she voted for me, but she voted for
Imagine
someone.
all that work for a
The
Carney
point of the
voter.
story is get out and vote. Vote for change. Vote for a brighter future. Vote for your kids. Allons voter pour le changement. There is so much at stake in this election, my friends.
Let's go.
This is the future of our country we're voting on.
My eyes will be peeled
There
on
are so
X.
many people across the country that have vested their hope in this campaign. People who feel like they're just hanging on by a thread. Families who believe they're on a treadmill that goes faster and
You had to get vetted. Do they check your social media and stuff? They have to make sure you have the right political view, you know?
faster. They
Dude, gotta have it, you know? That's crazy.
run further and further, but they never actually
Screening
move
for
forward,
a
and
rally.
often they feel they're falling further and further behind. Young Canadians who believe they'll never be able to afford a home. In Riverside South, there was a young man who called me and told me the story that his mother had the exact same job at the exact same office that he has. The difference
It's a family-run business.
is that she was able to buy a house in Ottawa
Yeah, it was
when
good
she
back
was
then.
28 years old.
That's the thing, like, the people work the same amount now, except your Canadian dollar doesn't get you as far. It's the same everywhere, right?
It's worth less.
Now, this gentleman is coming on to his 30s, and he has no hope, so he's still living with his mom. He couldn't even imagine buying the same home that she was able.
Yeah, I'm in like Los Angeles area, and even here it's like asinine expensive. I've heard it's even more in Canada, but still, it's like, how do you live
to buy doing the same job.
with your son?
And we have count.
Dude, the only thing is, because I got a strike a while ago, I don't know whose stuff I'm allowed to stream and not. So that's why I kind of stopped for a while, because I got the strike. And I've been just sticking to like state kind of videos, right?
Countless people who feel no longer safe in their streets. They go to bed worried their car might not be there when they wake up in the morning. They worry about their kids. They've cut back on their diets. They're living paycheck to paycheck. The small business people that have no idea how they're going to make payroll in a few weeks because their tax bill, their gas bill, their heat bill keeps on rising. And the windows got smashed the other day. These are the stories that people tell us every day. But you know something? I have hope, because we can turn this around. We have in our grasp, at our fingertips, the ability to choose change and chart a new and better course for our country. And that is the choice.
I don't believe the polls at all. I was curious about them. I checked them out. But I don't believe them at all. I think Pierre's going to win. I think they're going to get a majority government.
After the lost Liberal decade of rising costs and crime, we can't afford a fourth Liberal term. We need a new Conservative government that will axe taxes, build homes, unleash our resources, and bring home the Canadian promise. C'est ça le choix. C'est ça le choix demain. On a un choix. Est-ce qu'on va payer le prix pour un quatrième mandat des libéraux après une décennie perdue de coûts hors de contrôle? Ou est-ce qu'on va prendre la décision pour faire changement avec un nouveau gouvernement conservateur qui va couper la bureaucratie, les taxes et les impôts, libérer la construction de logements et nos ressources pour que nous puissions être un pays sécuritaire
Can you even hear
et
me?
abordable? C'est
Hello?
ça le changement
Yeah.
qu'on va choisir demain.
Alright, cool. Sometimes my mic has problems.
I know all of our candidates have been introduced already today, and I have some terrible news for them. Their summer vacation.
There's 3 people
is
in here. Let
canceled.
me know. Did you guys vote? Did you guys vote for Pierre? Did you guys vote for Carney? Are you guys not voting? I know that there's 3 people in here. Sometimes it pumps pretty hard. I like hearing what everybody thinks.
Tomorrow
I know what
we're
Hokie thinks.
kicking off
Hokie's
100 days of change.
no, yes.
And it involves passing 3 sweeping change bills. It's going to be the Affordability for a Change Act, the Bring Home Our Jobs for a Change Act, the Safe Streets for a Change Act, and none. And
Stop
we will
Immigration
keep Parliament
Act.
open all summer long until every single one of these bills is passed.
Kick out the Iranian officials or something. I remember something about that. Dude, Pierre used to look so weird back in the day with glasses. Like, his image has improved so much since then.
Change cannot wait.
His French is also good.
Politicians are going to have to
Pierre sounds like a not Pierre. Mark Carney sounds like a dumbass when he speaks French.
Because they're going to be busy on Parliament Hill working away to get the job done. The Affordability Act for a Change. We will cut $55 billion of waste by cutting consultants.
Oh, is that Canadian Doge right there? The Pierre's Department of Government Efficiency? Poge?
Streamlining bureaucracy,
Poge.
reducing foreign aid, and capping government spending so that we can
Let's go
afford
Poge.
our government again.
Canadian Doge.
Canada first. How do we like them apples?
Oh, apples. That's a good one. Haha.
There you go.
Yeah. Meme lord.
Maybe I think she could be a future cabinet minister.
Yeah,
here,
she's
right?
got the
She's
campaign
Minister of
stuff going.
Communication.
See, exactly.
How do you like them apples?
Yeah, he was so young. He's been in there for like a very long time. He grew up in Parliament.
Paycheck for a change, so conservatives will cut income tax by 15%.
Let's go. Axe the tax. Axe
We'll
the
get rid of
tax.
the electric vehicle mandate to save you money on your car.
Let's go.
And put you back in the
Woo.
driver's seat for a change.
Gas.
We're going to get rid of the capital gains tax when you reinvest your money here in Canada.
Let's go.
Change.
Sometimes I wish I was
And then there's
Canadian.
the carbon tax.
Oh my god. That's how I found Pierre. All the stuff he say about the carbon tax. Those were good times, man. Those were good times. Now he's about to be a prime minister.
It's still the law of the land. They hid the tax from the pumps for a few weeks right before the election, thinking that they would trick Canadians into re-electing them.
They tried to bean-boozle y'all. They tried to bean-boozle you.
Back on higher than ever when they no longer need your vote but still need your money. They want to raise that tax on steel, driving our
It's always about the
south of
money.
the border. My friends, I am the only leader who has consistently opposed this carbon tax, and as Prime Minister, within the first 100 days, I will pass a law to axe the tax for
That's my
everything,
favorite line.
for
Axe the
real,
tax.
for good,
Axe
for
the tax.
change.
Axe the tax. Just
And
axe
our
it.
young people are going to have homes to live in again.
Let's
to start
go.
families.
Let's go. We all want homes. We all need homes. Hopefully it doesn't. That's the thing. Like,
So expensive that you have to work like 30 years of your job just to make a down payment, right?
I remember stories like back in the day, you know, like my grandpa when he bought a house, it was like $25,000 for a house in Los Angeles. Can you believe $25,000 in Los Angeles? Now, you won't find anything under like 900,000, and that's like the hood. Here, dude, I don't know, it's a lot.
You know, it was only 13 years ago. My wife bought her home in Orleans. What was it? What did you pay for that again?
$1.
$230,000.
Even that sounds cheap.
2012. How many bedrooms? 2 bedroom. This was before me. I can't take any credit for this. She got this on her own. And you were young. You were basically, well, back then you were basically a teenager. I mean, right? She was 25 years old. She could buy a beautiful home in Orleans. And that's norm. In their 20s, young people used to be able to buy a nice place to live. And that meant that they could start their lives and build families and in wonderful places like Barrhaven and Greeley and Riverside South. But now, Those homes are too expensive, and many of our young people feel shut out. The biggest single expense that goes into a new home today is taxes and bureaucracy. A third goes to taxes, another roughly third goes to the delays, the permitting, the lawyers, the consultants. More money for a new home goes to bureaucracy, to bureaucrats, than goes to the carpenters, electricians, and plumbers that actually build the homes. This makes no sense, and we will lead the way to fix it. As part of our 100 days of action, Conservatives will axe the federal sales tax on new homes to save you up to 65 grand for a change. We'll incentivize our municipalities to speed up permits, free up land, and cut their development charges.
Yeah, it's the same here too. Like, if you look at it, most of the money goes to like taxes, air, a bunch of random shit. Nothing to actually benefit anyone.
As well, to bring $100,000 of taxes off of the homes. We will sell off unused.
Say that again. You spent $37,000 on windows. $37,000
federal
on
land
windows.
and buildings for.
You know, I can't really make a comment on that because I don't know what the average price of windows are. I'm assuming that's expensive if you're
300
to pay.
100,000 future homes to be built. And we will incentivize cities to permit 15% more homes, all of which will allow us to build 2.3 million homes over the next 5 years.
Supply and demand.
Start for a change.
Supply and demand.
And
more homes, cheaper the price. Kick out the illegals, more homes to live in.
We want to bring home powerful paychecks to those homes. We're going to unleash our economy,
Yes.
$500 billion of extra economic growth by repealing the anti-energy and development laws, C-69, the energy cap.
Energy cap.
We're going to rapidly...
What would even be a point for an energy cap? Wouldn't that mean you make less money? Shouldn't you be making as much money as possible?
Approve
Energy
pipelines,
cap?
mines,
Or
LNG
make it cheaper for
plants,
people
data
in
centers,
Canada to
and
use
much
energy?
more to bring home our paychecks to Canada and become more economically independent so we can stand on our own 2 feet and stand up to anyone who gets in our way for a change.
Who's he talking about?
And we want those paychecks to come home to safe neighborhoods. So we will stop the crime for a change. Right across. Is there any crime in Ottawa these days?
Is there? I don't know.
Is it worse than it used to be?
Probably.
Yeah.
Seems
A
like
lot.
everywhere's like that.
Out of control. He says some of it happens on Parliament Hill, he says.
When you stop punishing crime, crime gets crazy.
What's that? Well, there's a lot of crime going on right across the country. Violent crime up 50%. Gun crime up 116%.
Oh, sorry about that. We probably send all the guns in there. Our bad.
Extortion up 350%. My friends, this is the result of liberal catch and release hug-a-thug
Yeah, catch and
laws
release.
that
They had that here too.
turn the same repeat offenders loose again and again on our
Over and
streets.
over. I think the record here was somebody was arrested and let go like 37 times until he pushed someone onto a train track. 37 times. Like, at what point are you like, okay, this guy's not gonna save himself. He's probably gonna stay like this forever.
C-75 requires the judges release the accused at the earliest opportunity under the least onerous conditions, meaning that the same 40 offenders in Vancouver had to be arrested
A lot worse in
6,000
Canada.
times. That means once every 2 days, each of these guys was arrested. They basically have to be doing crime all day, every day, to get arrested every 2 days. It's insane. And then there's house arrest, C5. You can be a career car thief, having stolen 100 cars, and you get your sentence in your living room, watching Netflix or playing Grand Theft Auto. And then you just walk right out of the streets and do it all over again. They tell the police they're not even afraid of getting caught. They don't even bother trying to avoid capture. They leave the evidence everywhere because it's more hassle to dodge getting caught than it is just to go in and out of the revolving door. Well, my friends, as part of the 100 days of change, we will repeal C-75, catch and release. We will repeal house arrest. We'll repeal the Paul Bernardo get out of jail free card and make sure he stays in a max pen. We will pass the 3 strikes you're outlaw, 3 convictions.
What's my bad, I don't know what the RCMP is. Royal Canadian, is that like the military or like the police? Go there so I don't have to keep flipping over. Alright, let's do it. Who is that? Is that Sunshine Baby? Alright, let's go to Mr. Sunshine. If I get banned for life, it's whatever. Mr. Sunshine Bebe. Let's go check out Sunshine Bebe. Hopefully no ads. I think this is the one.
In much of Canada, Scott, your thoughts on advance voting?
Oh, let it load up. Let it load up. This is terrible.
And how it may impact things.
Why don't I give you a specific example, just to lighten this conversation up. So we're watching Central Nova very closely. Obviously, Sean Fraser's riding, very marquee riding in Atlantic.
Oh shit, the Libs are winning.
Behind by a handful of votes.
Shit.
I'm told by his riding that of the advanced polls, 3 out of 25.
I feel like I'm watching like basketball or something.
3 out of the 25. So that gives you an indication of what Tom talking about, how you can come charging from behind. So when all of those are counted, my suspicion is Sean Fraser will win this.
This is like lagging, guys.
Because he's been in
one guy,
and all 3 of the polls that have been counted from the advance, he's been well ahead. So we may see that phenomenon occur in a couple more of these Atlantic ridings.
NDP 0.
Vote overall.
Jagmeet. Jagmeet cry, dude. Jagmeet cry. Hopefully he can still afford that Maserati when he's done with politics.
11%. So I'd be careful about extrapolating what we've seen so far and thinking that, you know, the Conservatives are going to make massive gains on them.
The good thing is we only have about 30 seconds left for until.
What the hell's BQ? Bloc Québécois?
No, I should say last 30 seconds to you, Corey.
Yeah, well, we do have a little bit of insight into who's voted in the advance polls because there's been a lot of polling done of the electorate and asked the question, did you vote in the advance polls? And the data on that shows that it hasn't been that different than what we would typically see in an election. A lot more
numbers will change it. So that's the East Coast.
Than younger voters.
All right, so the East Coast is the Lib Coast, and the West Coast is the best coast, I guess. He got a huge pension. I can imagine, dude. I can imagine. How can we get some of his pension?
And now that could be because it was.
I think that's the one guy I might hate more than what's his name? Justin Trudeau. Is Jagmeet Singh with his like big hat and stuff.
Over a long weekend, I don't know.
He's just such a lib.
See, but we didn't see anything really surprising, or at least I didn't, in terms of the demographic.
All right, let's see these numbers go up. See these numbers go up.
It's probably more a reflection of who had a better ground game in a given riding. You know, to the point that
Green Party.
That Tom made.
Let's keep the Greens down.
Campaigns with more organization tend to do better in the advance polls.
And we shall see shortly. Kathleen, I'll get back to you in a moment because we're just about
Darren
a few seconds away from all.
So these are the. They're not senators. I don't know what you call them. Like parliament members being voted in, I guess.
All of those 267 polls closing.
Yeah, we're about to get more of these political blanks being filled just moments from now. We're just getting prepared for the biggest wave of poll closings across the entire country.
I want to see them flip live.
Minutes. In fact, we'll have results from hundreds of ridings all the way west to Alberta. Stay with us. This is CTV Election 2025.
This is way more exciting than watching the speech, dude. Thanks, Hokey.
Let's go, everybody!
Let's go, Sunshine Baby!
This is the biggest poll that we're going to see. The biggest poll update is happening right now.
Let's go!
So while we wait, let's get hyped, huh? Let's get hyped. My wife at home in a different city, in a different part of the province, just ordered me some food.
Let's go grab Uber Eats. I don't know what you guys have.
I appreciate that so much. This is going to be incredible.
The most consequential vote of our lifetimes.
There he is, Carnival Carney.
I
haven't said that in a while.
I don't want to listen to that at all. Not yet. Not yet. Who's ready for this? Who is ready for this? This is it, folks.
Dude, this guy hypes me up more than the actual like news station. It's
the biggest update on the polls. The results of this election are happening in a moment. So, if you're on your phone, if you're on a computer, if you're on your TV, go over to the comments section.
Let's see.
And hit some W's.
Let's hit a W. You can't see it on the chat, but let's hit W for
some W's
Sunshine.
going
Let's keep
in
going.
that chat.
Damn.
Let's get it going.
Damn.
Let's get it motivated.
Damn.
Let's keep the vibes extremely good. Let's keep the hype as high as we possibly can, because here we go, folks.
I put like 20
it is
W's.
about to happen.
Hopefully that's good enough.
Are the stakes? Canada's next government is beginning to take shape.
The party's final sprint for support all comes down to this: the end of a kind of unprecedented stretch. The unpredictability, as we've seen so far, though, far from over.
Dude. Yeah. I wonder how much money Mr. Sunshine is making from his YouTube. Because like 17K people watching, and if they watch for like a couple minutes, dude, that's a lot of money.
Heather Butts is with us with a look
He's definitely
at how
not suffering
things
like the
are
rest of
standing
Canada.
at this hour. Heather, I'll throw it over to you. Where do things stand?
Vashi, thanks so much. What an exciting evening. We've already seen
Oh
those
shit, the
polls
libs went up.
close in
The
Atlantic
libs went
Canada
up.
earlier this
Here we
evening.
go.
Then, of course, now
Purple
a
suit
huge
jacket ladies,
portion
bad luck.
of
Shift is
our country
closed.
closing just now. But let's remind people of
Oh.
where we were at dissolution.
152 to
So the
120.
standings at dissolution, the Liberals had 152.
So before this election, what breakdown did the Conservatives have? Did they have any? I'm sure they had seats in the Parliament, right? But did they have a less of a majority than they do now? I don't know.
Seats. The Conservatives 120, the Bloc Québécois 33, the NDP 24,
NDP,
the Green
24.
Party 2 seats in the House of Commons.
Don't they need at least 12 to keep their like seats in the House or whatever the hell it's called?
Now we do have a few.
Look at this
seats
guy's
up
face.
for grabs.
Woo. I missed
This
them.
evening, that is because there is one additional seat in British Columbia, 3 in Alberta, and 1 more in Ontario. That is because of population growth,
And blue is
demographic
conservative,
change,
I think,
and
right?
redistribution of ridings. So we have 5 additional seats. So we once had 300.
All right, let's see. House of Commons, that's a makeup. Currently 338 members, rising to 343.
38 members in the House of Commons, and that this evening we will have 300.
This guy looks a little fruity.
And 43 elected and
Our
heading
hairlines.
to Ottawa. But of course, the
Cape
main
Spear,
number that
Cape
we are keeping
Spear.
a very close eye on this evening is 172.
Ronald McDonald's
That is
cousin?
the number required for majority.
Okay,
Of course,
so once people get to 172, then they.
So we gotta look out for 172.
the governments, the your votes are counted. We'll, of course, keep a very close eye on the NDP and the Bloc Québécois right now, projecting anywhere from 15 to 38 seats for the NDP this evening. But again, those numbers will change as your votes are counted. This is a forecast, and the range will ebb and flow this evening as parties perform. 172, though, that is the magic marker, if you will, the number that we're keeping a very close eye on as this evening unfolds. Back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Heather. That's Heather Butts with some early projections. And the big news right now is that polls in much of the country, the bulk of ridings, the majority of them, 267, have just closed. I want to throw up, it's very early, like we were a little while ago with Atlantic Canada. Very few polls reporting, but some initial results. For example, in François-Philippe Champagne's riding, he is currently...
All right, yeah, so the red is Liberal. Blue Conservative, Bloc Québécois.
The Minister of Finance. He too decided, like Mélanie Joly, not to run for the leadership of the party once Mark Carney announced he would intend to do so. He has a very small lead there. We can throw it over to some more results.
Yeah, from Les Pays d'en Haut, the Liberal has a lead of 21 votes right now. Again, just two of the 236 polls reporting, because again, these polls.
Do more Liberals in Canada do early voting like America, where the right wing mostly does day of voting?
Just closed about 4 minutes ago.
Yeah, I've been sending too many messages. Take a break and try again.
This was one of the first Quebec polls to
Whoa.
close. You see there that...
How is Bloc Québécois on top? This must be their home territory.
Again, the Liberal incumbent is trailing the Bloc Québécois candidate there, Alexis Duchesne, who has the lead right now.
In Essex,
Butts.
by the way.
Heather Button.
Glad I didn't have to pronounce that riding. Very impressive. Chris Lewis with the lead, the incumbent, the Conservative incumbent in Essex. You can see, again, just one poll reporting there. But the results from provinces where polls have closed are starting to come in, including very quickly here. A lead for David McGuinty, currently serving as the Minister of Public Safety. He's the incumbent in the riding. The McGuinty family, of course, well known in the province of Ontario. Leslyn Lewis, the incumbent in Haldimand, Norfolk. She is kind of one of the front bench people in some respects for the Conservative Party. She ran for the leadership a number of years ago. Just one poll reporting there, but she does hold a lead of 48 votes.
And the reason this next batch is so significant, as we mentioned, is just because of the rich seat count there is, right? We know that there are 343 seats.
Like, if you look at the pictures, some of them are like crazy.
Up for grabs, and the region we're talking about now, Quebec, Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, Nunavut, Northwest Territories, represent 267 of those 343. So things are about to get extremely up for grabs, and the region we're talking about now, Quebec, Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, Nunavut, Northwest
It's going up quickly now. Every time they switch like graphics, someone goes up.
Territories represent 267.
They haven't updated NDP yet.
Extremely interesting. In Yellowhead, we've got some more results here. We know that the Conservative has a lead of 145 votes. Again, quite early in this region of the country, just one of the 252 polls reporting, Vashi.
And I think do we have some
Liberals just went down one.
additional results coming in? I think so. Yeah, we're looking over. Oh, now we're into Alberta. Lethbridge, Rachel Thomas is the incumbent there.
Right out the gate.
Public
Right
safety
out
critic,
the
among
gate.
a host
Got
of
the
other
lead.
things for the Conservative Party. She's, at
Are
one
you
poll
guys ready for
reporting
this
has a
update?
lead, not a surprise. Michelle
Rempel-Garner,
6 polls
a
reporting a
double-digit
commanding lead of
lead.
nearly 1,000 votes for her. I would be
Tom
shocked if
Becker. Get
anything
out of here,
different happened
Tom.
in that riding. It's a very safe
No one wants you,
Conservative seat.
Becker.
She's a very well-known member of Parliament in Calgary.
Oh, look. I'm telling you, there's some funny looking people on here. Well, not funny, I shouldn't say funny, they're just really unique.
Cerritos Mountain, we see here that the Conservative is leading substantially by a vote lead of 407 votes. Again, just one of the 211 polls reporting there. Battleford's Lloydminster, Meadow Lake.
Rosemary Falk, the incumbent.
The Conservative
huge lead. More than everybody else combined times.
Voting for Liberals is like shitting your pants and leaving the shit in your
100 votes right now.
Look at
And
that.
Alberta, another one of those places.
The NDP guys look crazier though. Look at this guy. How is William Petrick running, bro? That guy looks like he's a bagger at Target or something, or he's like a Ralph's grocery clerk. And then the dude in the middle is like, he's like poking his neck, like, what's going on here, dude? I can't see her, but she looks normal at least.
Places, and we heard this earlier from Tara Nelson, looking to see if there's any movement in some of the ridings. The Liberals had hope. Hey, if things are as good as we think they might be, we could swing there. So far, no evidence of that, but obviously very, very early. And Lloydminster, not one of the ones they thought they could pick up, but Lethbridge, perhaps south of there.
Yeah, Alberta, obviously, as we know, Conservative stronghold, but we'll see if there are any gains at other.
Let's go. Once you get your West Coast voters, I think you'll be right. They're hanging in there.
Parties are able to make there. Again, those results just trickling in as the polls have just closed about 7 minutes ago in the bulk of the country. We will be bringing those to you, but this is significant, this batch of results, Vashi.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, basically the path to government
NDP
has to
got
go
no
through
votes.
Ontario and
NDP,
Quebec,
look on
and
the,
the
on
path
the right
to
of the
a
screen right now.
majority
They got no
certainly
votes
has to
and
go
not a single
through
seat.
both of those provinces for whomever is able to.
Bye,
Jackie.
Jackie.
Particularly in certain parts of Ontario,
nice.
we've heard it from many people.
It's been nice knowing you for a couple months.
Area.
That I've
Like
paid
if
attention.
this is
Incredible
not going
with
to
the
be
arrive scam.
what the Liberals thought it was
Michelle
going to be, we're
Rempel-Garner,
going to know
incredible.
All
right. The
NDPs are
Conservative
ugly. Yeah, he's right. They are all ugly. I think they choose the ugly ones on purpose or something. They want the sympathy vote.
gains there.
They're going for they're going for a different voter base. They're not going for the normies. They're going for the fringe psychos.
Also struggling, Maxime Bernier, just one poll, the leader of the People's Party of Canada, currently in fourth place in that riding.
But there's so much skin in the game for all of these leaders. Obviously, wants to keep his job as well.
Dude, look at this girl, dude. She says she's a boss babe at home. She looks in the mirror. She looks at herself. She's like, Marielle Henriette Doumbia, you are a queen. Look at you, Donald Trump hair, but black. Very nice. This guy actually looks normal. These look like normal guys, but damn, dude, that hair. That must be a wig. Oh, you can't hear me?
About the others as well. Again, this riding
heavy conservative, more than everybody else combined times two.
For getting place right now.
Wow.
Again, one poll reporting of 245 with the conservative candidate leading there.
And we keep our eyes peeled for any additional
nine
results
difference
as they come in. I think there are some more. It's going to be a trickle for the beginning part because there's lots to count. There's also the huge advance vote portion.
Will it start like pounding in at one point? Like tick, 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 tick. It's just going up, up, up.
At Ajax, we're getting closer to the Greater Toronto area. Just one poll reporting there with the Liberal leading Greg Brady, Jennifer McKelvey leading Greg Brady. We'll keep an eye, of course, on other ridings in.
Let's go, Greg.
GTA. There are some specific ones where the Liberals eked out a victory, for example, in the last election.
Hokie, do you have any favorites for MPs, or are you just going for Pierre? I'm sure you gotta have like one or two that you like, right? Like more than the others.
I want to see if the Conservatives are able to flip there and what story that tells.
Could catch up.
I judge based on their looks, so it's not accurate. So if they look funny, I think they're weirdos. If they look normal and respectable, I think they're good candidates.
There was some surprise.
But I don't know. I'm not
The entire popular vote we don't think has been counted because of advance votes. But the idea that Sean Fraser's in a battle.
She looks normal for a lib.
The Liberals are underperforming polling projections for them in Atlantic Canada in the aggregate. The Conservatives are doing the converse. They're outperforming. The key question now throughout the next round of results
NDP got a vote.
Translates.
Hokie, NDP got a vote. You got to take a hit or a shot.
Different impact on the outcome.
And Heather had the floor, the ceilings for each of those parties just minutes ago. And even at the best case scenario for the Liberals right now, and again, the caveat there being that as the votes are counted, these floors and ceilings could change. But I believe that the ceiling that she had for the Libs was 178. So that is past majority.
Oh, dude, they're like hopping up at the same time. Can we just get a couple like conservative votes, bring it in, and then
or liquor? Do a shot right now for me, please.
The rest of the country,
the fact that Sean Fraser is going to lose his seat. Somebody out there, just take a swig of something. Just have a nice sip of alcohol. I'm so happy that Sean Fraser,
by the way, these are all
went into retirement and came out of retirement, all within like 3 months.
To be able to do that. So at times it could take in certain ridings longer than others, particularly in the riding of Carleton, Pierre Poilievre's riding. We'll see and bring you those results as soon as they happen. But let's go right now to Genevieve Beauchemin, who is with the Liberals.
Then it goes across Canada, Vancouver last. I'm a Pierre. Alright, that's cool. Yeah, usually it's hard to keep up with like these low ranging like MPs or for us like I don't know House and whatever members. But yeah. We'll see.
Well, certainly it's not that workers are not concerned about the situation in Atlantic Canada. Certainly they're looking at those numbers, but what we're told is that they're looking.
What's up with these ladies and their crazy looking suit jackets? You got this Porsche racing green suit jacket. And
of course, much more.
Let's skip her forward. Okay.
Volunteers trickling in, talking about what it's been like on the ground. We've been told that with the party that, they wanted those volunteers out there. They didn't expect anybody to be here before 9:30. They wanted them to be out there working every single door to ensure that there would be coming, that there would be as many votes as possible. But now those people are starting to arrive here, and they're talking about what it's been like. There's still a lot of enthusiasm. There's still a lot of people who said, look, a few months ago, this was such a different situation. Now we've been door knocking.
Sucks. Like you can't choose where you like. I mean, like you can choose where you live, but I don't know if it's the same for you. But it's like I grew up and lived in a blue area, and no matter what, it's your home, so you feel like good here, right? And just for some reason, it just happened to be blue. I don't know.
For several weeks, and we're talking happening.
Right. Well, you're telling me that you are closely watching that ticker, and I can tell you that everybody in this room is doing the exact same thing. When you look at the shots of the crowd here, we have people with their arms crossed, 10 sides on the screen. I've switched over to these headphone, microphone, earphone situation because it just got so loud in here the second there was anything positive sounding about those new results coming in. So this is a room that is very anxious for some good news. But to your question about what the campaigns are saying, or what the campaign is is saying. So we have been told that Ontario is they're expecting a positive result. They have less to say so much about Quebec behind the scenes, but in Ontario, which is obviously incredibly important, we are told that they are expecting good things. So that is what we'll be watching. Although I've been texting furiously with a number of campaign sources and nobody offering up anything new in the last few minutes, because I think safe to say it is a wait and see situation. Everybody with their eyes glued to the screen, and I just heard some boos. Not sure what came in over my shoulder there at this moment, but it's a very engaged crowd looking to see what comes in next.
All right, thanks so much. Abigail Beeman for us at Conservative headquarters as they, like us, Omar, stay tuned for the results coming in from the majority of
Sorry if I'm too loud. I can't keep my excitement.
Is
I'm
Judy
so
Trinh
sorry.
with the NDP in Burnaby.
It was a good call to put this because it's kind of entertaining to watch how Mr.
Night and polls closing there in about 16 minutes time, and what happens in BC could very much determine Jagmeet Singh's future, Judy.
Jagmeet Singh's future.
Omar, I want to tell you a little bit about what a campaign worker just told me about how difficult it has been campaigning on behalf of Jagmeet Singh in his riding of Burnaby Central. He said that in certain areas, because of redistricting, there are strong Liberal supporters there. But one of the challenges that campaign workers are facing in terms of getting out the vote is this idea of strategic voting. They are telling me that NDP supporters, which are usually a solid block for them, especially in this area of British Columbia in metropolitan areas, they're saying that NDP supporters are actually scared of Donald Trump, scared of Pierre. And so what they are doing is that they are shifting their vote to the Liberals, to Mark Carney. And so the volunteers, the campaign workers, are spending a lot of time talking to these people, saying, please, you know what? We can be your voice. The NDP can be your voice in Parliament to counter, to be in Parliament to counter, to be the voice of accountability. We were successful in pushing the former Liberal government to enact child care, pharmacare, as well as dental care. We were a key part of that. So they have to make this argument over and over again because there is this fear. Now, as the polls close in Ontario and Quebec, there are 6 seats that the NDP have. So those are in flux right now. And
can you hear me now?
Watching them
I only see one on the board, Judy.
Hello. Alright, it's working. Thanks, Hokie, for letting me know. No wonder.
An interesting story already beginning to develop in Quebec. We don't have final counts. Obviously, the polls just closed, but we can see, leading in a number of seats are
oh my God, the lead just
look to potentially pick up at this point in time 7 seats. The Bloc, another, the big story. It's at the Bloc's expense. They're down 6 seats at this point. They, of course, at dissolution were holding 33 of Quebec seats. Let's head to Jeremy Charron. He's actually at the Bloc Québécois headquarters, their campaign headquarters tonight in Montreal. Jeremy, give us a sense of what their expectations were and how this must be disappointing to them.
Yeah, absolutely, Vashi. I think supporters here are hoping those numbers are wrong, that's for sure. And at the risk of sounding like a broken record here, I'm going to repeat a bit of the same story as Judy just did, because interestingly, I just had conversations with campaign staff here that echo the exact same thing as Judy was just talking about. And it makes sense because both the Bloc and the NDP have run a similar campaign here towards the end, pitching themselves as a party that could hold the balance of power and the importance of having that different voice.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
I just spoke to campaign staff here who say early on in this campaign, all they were hearing from voters was fears of Donald Trump and how they were, likely going to vote strategically to avoid a conservative government. What we saw kind of at the tail end of this campaign
good vibes.
Serious groundwork by the Bloc here.
343 seats. I don't know what Mr. Sunshine reacted to, but he reacted bad and the score is changing. Honestly, I'm trying to keep up, but I'm like genuinely kind of confused.
What we saw in the polling was a potential
the only thing I can keep up with is the
so
number.
Let's not let the
That's
Liberals
all I
get a
can.
majority.
That's all I can tell. The
You
number.
don't need to fear about a conservative government getting in anymore. Instead, ensure you're sending enough Bloc MPs back to Ottawa to ensure that Quebec's priorities are a focus.
So Pierre lost already?
Interesting to hear very similar stories here from Bloc Québécois campaign staff.
Oh my God, what the hell is going on here?
Both of those parties fight for kind of the same outcomes.
Oh my
the same
God.
goal, if you will, in the next government.
I don't like watching this. Gives me anxiety.
Thanks so much, Jeremy Sharon.
I'm getting anxiety.
I'm not really entertaining the conspiracy side of anything. But
Oh my God, it's a 20-point game.
How can Carney seriously poach parts of Quebec in the bloc? He can't speak French. That doesn't make any sense.
That could certainly help bolster the Liberals' chances overall. But we wait to see the final.
And these numbers, as you saw, are fluctuating in real time. The bloc just a couple minutes ago was at 11, and now it's down to 8. And
have we hit the part where it's like conservative now, or are we still in the Liberal area?
In the province of Quebec, but now we are seeing the impact.
I can't tell. This is not good. Numbers moving up in Quebec.
So if this continues in other parts of the country,
moving up in a good way or a bad way?
For the Liberals, but of course we have to wait to see some more results. But I'm just
okay. Here we
the
go.
Come back. Central Nova, which is a
for
riding
Liberals.
in Atlantic Canada,
yeah.
Keep going back to over and over again, and you can see there, Vashi,
okay,
just
cool.
how much of that spread between the Conservative and the incumbent Sean Fraser has increased.
Yeah, it's still very tight. I want to go to Todd
Damn, that man is
Battis
old.
to get your reaction. We're still waiting.
This dude has like a gold tooth.
He's like 300 votes ahead of
Advanced
Fraser.
polls will have an impact on this.
Labrador.
So embarrassing for Sean Fraser.
Oh, that's the. I thought that was his
Yes,
name.
it's a riding that McKay has, of course, held for a
what
very
is his
long
name?
time. But this is not someone who was not a prominent member of the Liberal government. I mean, he held major portfolios under Justin Trudeau.
Two major portfolios, immigration and housing, and you're right. And at last glance, the lead for Bryson Jenkins of the Conservatives is 279.
Leduc Wetach-Queenie, Catherine Swampy.
Earlier about whether those advanced polls are being counted at the same time or if they're still outstanding, and whether that can have an impact on the final results of that, because it is just so close right now in northern Nova Scotia. So that's certainly one where the advanced pollings, if the advanced votes, if those are being counted a little later towards the end, that could have an impact on that particular riding. I'll go quickly to another one, Cumberland Colchester, also in Nova Scotia. The incumbent Dr. Stephen Ellis, his numbers have been
8 minutes and 50 seconds until BC polls close. If you are in the line
now, we'll certainly keep a close eye on this one, because again,
I have to mute the feed, folks. If you're in British Columbia and you are in line right now, or you know somebody that's in line, even though the polls close at in 8 minutes and 30 seconds from now in BC, if you are in the line, you're good to go. So please message people that you know who are in the line right now, saying don't leave until you vote. Get to the line. You got 8 minutes. You got 8 minutes to get there. Get in the line. Don't leave. Man, we need it. We need it. We need every little bit of it.
Parties and the party leaders. It's a
21-point game right now.
Going into it tonight, it was too close to call. Right now, the incumbent bloc is running third after the Liberals and the Conservatives. It is early yet, but that's not a good sign, because this riding is thought to be a very good indicator of what might happen here in Quebec.
Literally,
Take a look at the other
live
riding
time,
in the
it goes up and down.
We've been talking about that for a while, because the results here came in about 30 minutes earlier.
She might lose her job.
Earlier time zone.
To a conservative, to a bloc.
Some of them are upset so far, it seems like.
Between the bloc and the Liberals.
It's so annoying, bro. Like, the Liberals just keep going up,
and
the Conservatives just freaking stay there. Like, they caught up a little bit, and then they went back down.
As we say, it's still really, really close. They're still going back and
forth. They have Bernie Sanders too.
What's happening in
Bernie Sanders is in Canada now, I guess.
What's happening in Gaspé? The bloc cannot be very happy tonight so far. Let's see what's going on in Ottawa now, Patricia.
172. This is nerve-wracking, dude. The Libs are already up to like almost. They're gonna get to 100. We need that West Coast Conservatives to come in here.
Seen this kind of competition, at least in terms of numbers. 91 candidates in that Carleton riding, where the ballot is nearly a meter long.
Stupid thing.
I don't have the actual ballot here, but I printed out the names. It's 3 pages worth, and we don't have any results, as you can see yet. It's all very interesting, because not only do we have that
Pierre
long ballot with all
Poilievres.
the names on there, part of a protest from a group called the Longest Ballot Committee. They're protesting the current first-past-the-post electoral system. So it could be some delays because of those delays. But it also
so that never happens again.
Carlton
That's
did
stupid
the
and a waste
highest
of
voter
taxpayers'
turnout
money
in
and time.
advance polls anywhere in the country. So there's a lot of ballots to count. To mitigate delays, Elections Canada said they were going to begin counting those ballots cast in the advance polls 6 hours before polls close. Extra teams being brought in, but as you can see, we do not have any numbers out of that key Carlton riding where Pierre Poilievre's running just yet. We want to go back over to Toronto and the Greater Toronto area and Michelle now.
Thanks, Patricia. Well, the polls have closed here in Toronto and the GTA, and we're starting to get some of the numbers rolling in here in this vote-rich part of the country. I want to draw your attention to Ajax. This is a riding that is Edmonton Griesbach. So Blake Desjardins won this in 2021. It was a very close race, one for the NDP.
Get that nut job out of there.
Just a 4% margin, 1,500 votes over the incumbent Kerry Diot, the Conservative incumbent there. He was a two-term MP. He was also a former city councillor. This was a very big upset in 2021. And Diot wants it back. He's running again. This could be a very tight race. I am seeing pollsters talk about a group of voters called modest metros, and these are young voters in urban areas, and their biggest concern is their financial future and their financial security. There are a lot of them in Griesbach. So if Desjardins has been able to target those voters and talk to them about what the NDP is going to do to help secure their financial future, he might be able to harness some of that young vote tonight, and that could be what pushes him over the edge. We'll keep an eye
Look
on
at that pose.
Let's go to Michelle in Vancouver.
Isn't even going
Oh
to
my
be
God,
elected.
this is looking scary,
3 more
guys.
minutes till polls close here in BC.
30-point game right now.
Definitely not the least.
Oh my
there
God.
are 43 ridings up for grabs, many too
I need to
close
pop
to
a
call.
panic smoke
If
before we
the
go into
Liberals
that.
are on the paths to victory,
Dream's
depending
still
on what
running.
happens in the rest of the country,
I'm
it
listening.
could come
I'll
down
BRB.
to BC. The Liberals need to hang on to ridings like Vancouver Centre.
Here we
home to
go. The
Canada's
comeback.
oldest
The
MP,
comeback.
Hetty Fry.
Nurse,
She's
what's
running
the
for
line? It's
re-election.
not about the
Some say
setback,
she
it's
is
about the comeback.
Unbeatable. Hetty
No,
Fry.
let's get Elaine in.
Comeback's greater than the
has been
setback.
serving in the parliament since 1993.
Well,
She was a
if
rookie
Conservatives
then,
lose,
who
maybe
took
there'll be
down former
riots in
Prime Minister
Canada.
Kim
Hey, if you're
Campbell.
watching and you haven't hit the
Liberals
like
are also
button.
banking on
No, they're gonna
retaining
win. They're
North
gonna win. You gotta
Vancouver
believe.
Chaparrano, which is held by
You gotta believe
Cabinet
it.
Minister Jonathan Wilkinson.
We got
and he won
this.
handily last time around.
Elbows
We're also
out,
watching
or whatever
Burnaby
it
North
is.
Seymour held by Terry Beach. He's
Apples
been
for
the MP there
apples.
since 2015. A career highlight for him.
There's a lot of
toppling
candidates that don't have
longtime NDP
hairlines, I
Sven
just noticed.
Robinson in 2019. The main challenger
Look, even that guy,
now,
no
though,
hairline.
appears to be the Conservatives. Back to you, Omar, Bashi.
All right, Mijung, thank
Well,
you so
the
much.
girls
Let's
have
bring in our chief
hairlines, of
financial
course.
correspondent, Amanda Lang, right now. And we're watching the story now developing in Quebec, right? This collapse of the Bloc Québécois, which is something we had seen heading into this, but now we're seeing to what extent this is playing out. Tell us a little bit about the tariff-sensitive areas of Quebec and how that's impacting what we're seeing now.
Yeah, and so interesting because we knew, of course, that the electorally important Quebec, that the Bloc would need to be ceding seats to the Liberals if the Liberals could form a majority government. And we are seeing, thanks to our friends at the Chamber of Commerce, their Business Data Lab calculated the tariff sensitivity of some regions, and some of them are very much in play. So on that list is Trois-Rivières, which is, of course, on the St. Lawrence, right between Quebec City and Montreal. It's super sensitive to tariffs, and it, at the moment, shows the Liberals leading. It's early, but a pretty sizable lead.
At this point, I'm just waiting for
Is in
like
third place, a
the
narrow
conservative
third, but
states
still.
to come in
And
so we
the
can
other
see the
two very
comeback.
sensitive places, Drummond and Saint-Jean.
But then
do
again,
seem
this
to
is
be
the
tilted to the
first
Bloc,
election
so
I've ever
it's kind of an
seen, so I don't know how it
interesting
usually
read on
works.
Was the message of Canadian
Hopefully-
unity,
hopefully,
rallying together behind the flag enough to tilt the balance away from the Bloc in some of these
Hopefully
key
Hockey is
Quebec
right.
ridings? Of course, we're watching it so closely. If you're a Liberal,
That's
you
like-
have a lot riding on what
Hockey
happens.
is like the
on
Canadian
what, it happens in
insider.
these polls particularly.
Yeah, very much so. And we just wanted to quickly direct your eyes to the
No, but
screen.
for real,
where
I've
we've
learned
got,
so much from your
an early
guys'
breakdown
comments about
of,
Canada.
the popular vote at this juncture among the votes that have been counted. The Liberals sitting at 51%.
Look at Jagmeet in the middle with
Conservatives
this
at
pink hat
39%,
on.
The NDP at 4%. In particular, that NDP number, keep in mind we haven't counted British Columbia, but that is low and informing the higher number.
Oh my
for
God,
the
look at the
Liberals. I want to turn
score.
back to Quebec as we watch more of those
They
results
started
come in. And we
so
can say
close.
in the least surprising announcement of the night, Michelle Rempel-Garner in Alberta has reclaimed her seat as the incumbent candidate, very well-known MP in Alberta.
Interesting, actually, Calgary, another one of the very tariff-sensitive regions, but that's not expected to tilt it towards the
Shafkat Ali.
If this does hold in Quebec,
Tim
how significant
Iqbal.
do you think it is? I mean, I know
Grant
from the
Jackson.
Liberal campaign certainly had
Ghazanfar Al-Tarar. Dude, these crazy names are crazy. Annie Gajiskala Kali.
Kind of collapsed by at least 10 seats compared to the last election.
Shakid
It's not totally clear, but
Orkule
it's very interesting to see some of these
Bouchard.
very key ridings in play.
These
When
are
the
some
incumbent's in third
names,
place,
dude.
that says that there's
Michelle
something different in the
Bouchard, that's
air.
kind of
And we
normal.
keep talking about this collapse. I mean, just to contextualize
Adam
it right now,
Van
again,
Coverden.
it is early, but
Nadim
Quebec
Akbar.
had 32 seats and now
Sunjiv
is,
Raval.
leading or elected in 13 seats.
Sunjiv.
The polls closing in British Columbia
Ahmed
in
Khan.
2 seconds time. Amanda,
If you're in
this
line,
is,
don't leave the
another
line.
region of the country
If
that
you're
we're
in line,
watching,
hold the line. If
particularly
you're in line,
closely
don't leave
for,
the line in
the
BC.
NDP.
They just closed.
But,
Don't
you know,
leave
when
the
you look
line.
at British Columbia too, it's not as exposed to the U.S.-Canada situation as other parts of the country are, but still when it comes to softwood lumber and those sectors, that's big in that part.
In some ways, of course, BC has been suffering from tariffs much
used to
longer.
it, yeah.
That's right. The lumber tariffs, but now we have tariffs on top of tariffs. It's a super sensitive issue, but it does, of course,
Jagmeet
stand a little bit
-1.
apart from the Western sentiment, which has been a little bit divided over how to manage tariffs. You might get more of that national fervor out of BC here. So it will be, I think you've nailed it. The question will be whether you see the weakness in the NDP flowing to the Liberals. Not much hope for the Conservatives there.
Polls are now closed.
Yeah, it's not looking good for.
If you're in line in BC, please.
Sounds like the Libs are pulling voters from
If you are
Bloc
in line in
Québécois.
BC at the poll and you're watching the stream, or if you know a family or friend or anybody, send them a message. Don't even text. Call them and say, do not leave the line. Literally, like hold the line, like stay in there. You're still eligible to vote, even though it's closed. If you're in the line, don't leave. Whatever you do,
don't go.
Whatever you do,
the deficit of 10 seats at this juncture, again, Omar, that is something that we've got our eyes very closely peeled at, because that difference there is largely based in the results in Quebec at this point.
Yeah, which has been a fascinating storyline to observe. The magic number, of course, that Heather's been telling us about is 172. That Heather's been telling us about is 172. That is the number that's needed for a majority government. So we should, over the next little while, get a sense of who will be leading this country.
We still haven't really done Southern Ontario.
Bear with me.
We still haven't really done Southern Ontario.
Whether it is a majority or a minority. Let's get straight to Heather Butts, who's been
and we haven't done all
the data. Heather, what can you tell us?
Omar, thank you so much. Of course, everything is changing as this evening goes on. As we've been talking about all night, as your votes are counted, that is when we really start to see things unfold. We're going to take a look now at the CTV News Decision Desk projections. As of right now, in this
it's the most entertaining thing right now, reading the names. Look at this. Malala Halimi. Malala Halimi. These are okay. Saeed Ahmed. Zaid Abu Latif. Blair Marie Coles. I'm voting for her, even though she's a lib. Lindsay Machona. Omar Abu Bakar. Oh my gosh, look at this guy. Hold on, I gotta pause it. Jagsharan Singh, la la la.
Edmonton, great. Let's see more of that.
Riding demographics, a lot of research, and of
Eglinton
course,
Lawrence.
the numbers
That's
that are coming in
Toronto.
this evening as your votes are counted.
That's his name.
Right now, also for the NDP and the Bloc Québécois, we're watching that closely. But again,
Alright, still a 21-point game. They're keeping it in there.
of course, the Conservatives and Liberals looking for this evening, so we're keeping a very close eye on that marker of 172. Back to you.
All right, Heather, thank you so much. And
Heather, thank you so much, Heather. Heather, appreciate ya. I don't know who that is. Francois-Philippe Champagne.
Good BC delegation on your panel tonight.
That's right. We've got more than half of our panel is from BC. Who wants to jump in here first?
In the last election campaign, the Liberals finished third in the popular vote.
That pisses me off because I don't like that little chihuahua. I don't like that.
26%
little chihuahua.
Province-wide, we got 15 seats. Conservatives got 13 seats. NDP got 13 seats.
Oh, Bernie got reelected. Bernie Sanders.
Province. And how the splits are going to go in BC and all the rest.
Whoa, look at that guy, Tammy Gagnon.
In parts of British Columbia,
You can tell what kind of guy he is, huh?
On the island, working class suburbs south of the Fraser River, the NDP second choice ballot can be.
Dude, this guy's wearing like a rain jacket to his
most of the province.
Literally wearing a rain jacket. Shyam.
Choice for NDP voters breaks 2-1 Liberal over Conservative. So I think you'll
Shyam Shukla.
basically two colors of members of Parliament coming out of British Columbia. You'll see reds and blues. I think maybe a couple in the Democrats. Jenny Kwan probably in Vancouver East. Don Davies perhaps in Vancouver King.
It's getting worse, guys. I don't know. I don't feel good.
The only three. I don't think Elizabeth May will win on the island.
It's making me nervous. It's a 26-point game right now.
The aggregating polling data that you show out of 43.
We need whoever is on the Toronto Raptors right now to put in a Game 7 Kawhi Leonard type shit, you know?
Going to be very close to watch and very tight to call right up until the last probably 10 or 20 polls.
Arjit, what do you want to say here?
No, absolutely. The NDP vote, a lot of it, I've been talking to a lot of supporters. A lot of them actually have been coming over to the Liberals, very concerned.
Poor goats.
About what's taking place.
Susie, you're fucking crazy, dude.
Trump, making sure that we have a strong
What if the goats are in the chat right now?
to kind of look out for is Victoria.
There you go. Just Jack Meat's friend right here.
Well in, but we haven't been able to get it across the
This is Maserati meat.
There's now a very good opportunity now. Port Moody.
Maserati meat purple.
Both of you are from there.
Yeah.
They have an opportunity there. And also, let's not forget, there's also...
Listen, we gotta have fair. We gotta have one white woman, one colored woman. We gotta have a colored guy. We gotta have a suit jacket supporter. Is it getting stuck again?
Everyone in Timmins that voted Conservative.
A very strong showing for the Liberals, I believe.
All my childhood homies.
And it's going to send a very strong message for the rest of Canada as well.
Pierre probably have spent more time in British Columbia than any leader in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And he's paid a particular focus on Vancouver Island, and I think that'll show up well too.
Well, and what you'll see on Vancouver Island is going to be, I mean, first of all, can I just say how exciting it is as British Columbian that we could be deciding the election tonight?
Right.
Exactly. It's about time. We're in Canada. So the Vancouver Island, you look at the bottom half of it, it is tight three-way races. And the Liberals are probably going to do well in some of those ridings. A lot of them are tend to be older communities, and you're seeing the NDP vote really collapse there. Okay. But then on the north part of the island, you're seeing a lot of orange-blue fights for sure, because working class voters, mill towns, old mining towns, those kinds of places where those working class messages really have an impact. Yeah. But the thing is, if the NDP votes collapse, those ridings are more likely to go Conservative than just about anywhere else in the province, other than kind of northern British Columbia. So
it doesn't seem like BBC is going to be
I
a
heard
thing.
somebody say earlier, BC is like a microcosm of the whole country. I think it was Scott Reed, and I think that's going to turn out to be true tonight.
I'm going to keep going. I can hear this music, and I don't know if it's like the Oscars where they're going to sing us off or not, but we're going to keep going. Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the collapse of the NDP vote.
It's not looking good to me.
Is this south of the border? Is this the
Anne-Marie, I just have to interrupt you because our decision desk is just coming up.
I think Trump is about to annex if it stays like this.
In this unprecedented campaign, we are about to make a call. Stand by for major declaration from the CTV News decision desk.
Oh, here we go. What are they gonna say?
Your next government. We are getting the results momentarily. Seconds from now, it's a time we've all been waiting for.
Bro, it's getting so close.
CTV News decision desk declaring a Liberal
Oh my God.
will be forming the next government
Fuck.
of Canada. The big question right now is, will it be a majority or a minority? And this is a live shot you're looking at. I believe it's at the...
Sorry, guys. Sorry, that sucks, dude.
I'm assuming there will be some...
That sucks.
They don't know it yet, but they will soon. Take a moment, give the Liberals their due. This is a huge moment for the Liberal Party.
That's
who
not
were
good.
off the electoral map just 3 months ago, 4 months ago.
Who cheated?
It's been 20 years since a party has been able to win a fourth mandate. You're absolutely right to point out that we don't know yet if it's a minority.
Rip Canada. Rip Canada. Rest in peace. I'm sorry. We had Biden. You guys will have to deal with this guy, I guess.
To be able to pull off a win certainly speaks to a lot of things.
Oh my God, it's still stuck, bro. What the fuck? There we go. Let's let it catch up.
The sort of ascent of Mark Carney, the role, I guess the storyline of him becoming leader and Justin Trudeau stepping aside has certainly worked wonders for the party. Huge impact in Quebec.
This is crazy. I genuinely thought Pierre was gonna win. I thought he was gonna win.
A big part of this story will be Quebec. It will also help inform whether or not this turns into a majority.
Yo, Pierre lost, dude. The Liberals won.
Live at
They just announced it.
They don't seem like they
Yeah.
know what we just said. Mike,
It's 125 to 90. They got to get to like 174.
Really good reason for that, Vashi, and it's because on the screens behind
Rest in
us,
peace,
they
Canada,
are
huh?
playing our network somehow. We have lodged an official complaint with the Liberal Party, and I'm not saying official complaint. I mean that joking.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I'm like, let's see if they get annexed now.
I've been texting a number of Liberals, and it doesn't seem like they've gotten the message just yet.
But it's not over till it's over, right?
People before coming on, just here before we had declared.
Can we get to 15K likes? We're at 11.5.
That was
we
the
had like
buzz
3,500 likes.
here, but really,
if you're watching,
worried
Good night.
about how these numbers were going to be. The get out the vote issue, of course, as well. I'd spoken to one staffer who said that they saw big numbers in the early voting today, especially. They have these types of bingo cards where they essentially catch up with voters afterwards, and they were checking off people very early in the day, so they were very confident that their people were getting out there and getting to vote. Highly motivated, as we know. A lot of people were very excited about Mark Carney and the change
Why, though?
for the Liberal government. They have been talking about this. A number
Why?
of people have been going to
What
rallies
changed for the
across
Liberal
the
government?
country
It's the same
where I've
thing.
been asking people, what do you think of Mark Carney and where this party has come from? I'll give you the example. Yesterday in Victoria, as I had said earlier in the show, 11:30
It's the same
at night
meal being
Pacific time.
prepped
People had
by a
waited
different chef
90 minutes
with
just to
the
see
entire
Mark Carney.
kitchen staff
And
the
I
same
asked
thing.
one of the volunteers there, and I said,
It's like
how
instead
has
of
the
making a
change
Wendy's
been from
burger in a
Justin
Wendy's,
Trudeau
you're
to
making a
Mark
Wendy's
Carney?
burger
They said
in a
the day
McDonald's
that Mark
building.
Carney announced
If that
he
makes
was
sense.
getting
Like, that's
into the
exactly what's
race,
happening with the
they
Liberal
saw
Party.
Thousands of people sign up for memberships to the Liberal Party of Canada. So
I don't know
getting
why
back
it was
to what
about
I was
food.
talking about earlier about that turnout, that staffer said to me it was possible.
the
They
best I
thought
could
it
come
could
up
be
with.
possible that we could see a voter turnout of upwards of 70% because of how motivated people are, because of how they thought they were getting their vote out there today, Vashi. And certainly I know that when this starts to flow into this this place, people will start to get excited about it, and I think will start to get excited about it, and I think that another network is starting to catch up with us, and that is why you're hearing people getting excited right now, because as I had mentioned, we declared it first, another network is saying it now, and that is why you're hearing the applause behind me. Likely a bit of relief as well, Vashi, because there were some tense moments here in the last 20 minutes or so. When they saw the numbers in Atlantic Canada, they weren't seeing them come through Quebec just yet, but now that they're seeing them, certainly some excitement, and as I said, probably looking.
Canada's election website has gone dark just after polls closed. Nothing to see here. Polls closed and Canada's election website crashed. Can't make it up. Everyone is tweeting that. Does anybody really want Canada as the 51st state? Oh no. Yeah, everyone's posting about the Canada's website going black. We'll see.
At this and saying they now hope that it'll turn into a majority of some sort, but really they're not sure about that. The people that I were talking to inside the campaign.
That's crazy. Are anybody from Canada watching? Are you guys getting some suspect news about polling and voting? I heard there was this lady that was taking like a bunch of ballots home or something.
Unclear if they think that they did enough at this point to try and get that majority government, Vashi.
All right, thanks so much, Mike. We'll take a look at the ticker at the bottom.
Now we got to see if it's majority or minority government.
Bottom of your screen, it tells the story of what we were just talking about. To catch you up, in case you are just joining, we have declared here at CTV News a Liberal win. We do not know yet if it will be a majority or a minority government. You can take a look at some of the seat totals now in leading and elected. The magic number, Omar, that we're paying attention for is 172.
It is a remarkable comeback, as you just pointed out a couple of minutes ago. I mean, this was a party that was down 20 percentage points and has now risen to the point of forming the next government of Canada. This is a hugely significant day for Mark Carney. He stays on as Prime Minister, and this is a moment really that will be studied extensively, I think, in the context of Canadian political history. Foreign policy is not always that dominant of an issue in elections.
Hardly ever is.
Hardly ever. We're not just talking about any foreign power, though, this time. We're talking about the U.S. We're talking about that massive trading relationship between Canada and the U.S. I believe the last time it was this powerful or this significant was back in 1988. That was a free trade election. But given the relationship that this country has with the United States, how close that is economically in terms of, you know, the fact that we've got family across the border, we've got connections across the border. That is what has been the dominant topic in this election, and obviously voters feel as though Mark Carney is the best steward at this time to navigate the turbulent waters that we are seeing with the United States.
Yes, that was his pitch, right? That was certainly his pitch. The Conservatives had a different message around change, which is still proving to be, you know, very popular, just not as popular as the concept of what Trump is threatening, which isn't just the economy like it was in 1988 and 1984, but also our sovereignty, like our very existence as a country. And I think that's obviously informed the outcome tonight. Let's swing over to Heather Butts, who's got a deeper dive into some of these results.
Thanks so much, Vashi. Yes, we are looking at that Liberal win, and of course the results that people want to know. Well, how did you get here? How did we declare this Liberal win? And that is declared by our CTV News decision desk. And we'll take a look at our projections for where we can go this evening now once we have declared that win. So the decision desk, the House of Commons projection probability of a majority actually is 24% for the Liberals. So that is the probability of a majority, and I believe we're now going to look at the House of Commons projection. So we are projecting
is calling this a Liberal win
anywhere
right now.
From 152 to 180 seats. That would be the maximum this evening, and of course, crossing that number, that 172 majority marker that we've been talking about this evening. And looking at the Conservatives, the decision desk is projecting the Conservatives will receive anywhere between 119 and 144 seats this evening, and of course,
you gotta be kidding me,
lining
man.
up with the minimum of the Liberals, and so that's how that math, of course, works out. These numbers based on historical data, riding information that we receive, research, and of course your votes, because we have been watching these numbers ebb and flow. It's a forecast, it's a range, and so they've been moving this evening as your votes are counted and come in through those polling stations. Of course, take a look at the Bloc Québécois and the NDP. The decision desk projecting anywhere from 18 to 30 seats would be the maximum for the Bloc Québécois. The NDP, a minimum of anywhere from 12 to 28 seats. And again, taking a look at that majority, the Liberals could get anywhere from 152 to 180.
It's not over. I don't know why they're calling a win right now.
So if they don't cross that
you see it on the banner,
that magic
CTV
marker, and
News
they
declares
don't get
Liberal
that majority,
win.
that's when we really start to look towards the Bloc and the NDP to see how things play out in Ottawa. Back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Heather. Heather with a deeper dive there into some of the numbers. The Liberals, CTV News has been able to declare will form government. We keep our eye on those numbers at the bottom of the screen to see whether or not it will be a majority or a minority. We want to get some analysis to this significant moment in the night from our top strategists, Corey tonight, Kathleen Monk, and Scott Reed. Corey, I'll start with you.
There's no way.
We talked earlier, Omar mentioned that you made a ton of news. So did the Premier Doug Ford.
Are you telling me this country really just did this?
Focusing on Donald Trump enough. Is this?
I know all 27,000 people watching, or however many are watching.
But I think in many respects, you know, as you reflect on this race, it was largely put in jeopardy before the campaign even began. I think the biggest strategic error that the Conservatives had going into this election was pounding Justin Trudeau and the Liberals with tens of millions of dollars of pre-read advertising to the point where they drove them down to 18-19% in the polls and made it an existential question around the leadership of the Liberal Party. And you know, it's not just Trump; it's the loss of Trudeau. If you think of this,
where's it live? Here we go.
And that's how you use CRMs. Questions?
or you can just move to what drove that, because I think Trump is part of that story. I think it was probably a much bigger part of the story with the Bloc Québécois. But I think there's a question as to whether or not the type of campaign that the Conservatives ran was so frightening to NDP voters that they gave up their, decades
My question is, what happens now?
States long voting preference to vote Liberal
really
for a Bay Street banker,
result.
which is not really a likely place that you would think
Not
that
too on
would
brand.
go.
Yeah.
So I think to give the Conservative Party credit, like they have built their base to, I think, a historic level. But in doing so, they may have moved the goalpost further away if the result of that is the collapse of the NDP to that degree.
Great point.
It is a great point. And Corey, just very quickly, I mean, what is the soul-searching moment now for the Conservatives? What is Pierre Poilievre thinking tonight, and what happens to his future, and what is the party thinking tonight?
Well, I think there's got to be a lot of questions asked around that, but I don't think there's one Conservative Party. This is why you see so few Conservative governments at the federal level. There's really like 5 different Conservative parties across the country, and what constitutes,
That's what I was saying. What happens now?
Which is where
What
I'm
happens
from,
now with Pierre?
looks a lot different in Ontario, where I am now, or in BC, or in Quebec, or in the Maritimes. And you have to try to find a through line through these disparate types of Conservatives.
Hold on.